The first thing she said to me wasn't, "Hello." It wasn't even, "Thank you." Instead, she looked straight into my eyes, her expression cold and guarded, and said, "You won't last a week living with me." Her voice was calm, but the message was clear. She had seen people come and go. Caregivers who promised patience, helpers who said they cared, and every single one of them had left. But I didn't argue. I didn't try to convince her. I simply smiled and replied, "I'm not leaving, unless you fire me." And for the first time that day, she looked surprised. Before we get into this powerful story about kindness, resilience, and unexpected friendship, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Here on your channel name, we believe small acts of kindness can change lives, and stories like this remind us just how powerful compassion can be. Now, let me tell you what happened next. Her name was Emily. Emily was 32 years old, sharp-witted, and beautiful in a quiet, thoughtful way. But life had dealt her a brutal hand 3 years earlier. A car accident had left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, she had pushed almost everyone away. Friends stopped visiting. Family calls became shorter. Caregivers came and left, usually within a few days. Some said she was difficult. Others said she was impossible. But the truth was simpler. Emily was hurt. When I first arrived at her house, the atmosphere felt heavy. The living room was tidy but silent, like a place where laughter had once lived but hadn't visited in a long time. Emily sat in her wheelchair by the window. She didn't smile when I walked in. "Another one?" she asked without even looking at me. "Yep," I said casually, setting my bag down. "But I plan on staying longer than the others." She let out a small laugh, more sarcastic than amused. "They all say that." "I mean it," I replied. She finally turned her chair slightly to face me. "You'll quit," she said. "They all do." I shrugged. "Guess we'll see." The first few days were rough. Emily tested me constantly. She'd ask for something, then say she didn't want it. She'd complain about the food, the temperature, the noise outside. Once she even accused me of moving a book that hadn't been touched in weeks. But I realized something quickly. She wasn't trying to be cruel. She was trying to see when I'd break. And I understood why. When someone has been abandoned enough times, they stop trusting promises. They start expecting people to leave. So instead of getting frustrated, I stayed calm. If she complained about breakfast, I asked what she preferred. If she criticized something, I fixed it without arguing. And when she snapped at me, I simply said, "It's okay." One evening about 5 days in, I made dinner and placed it on the table. Emily stared at it. "Chicken again?" she asked. "Grilled chicken," I said proudly. She rolled her eyes. "Creative." I chuckled. "Okay, fair point. Tomorrow I'll cook something better." She didn't respond. But after a few seconds, she took a bite. And then another. Later that night, I was washing dishes when she spoke from the living room. "You're still here." "Last time I checked," I joked. "You've lasted longer than most." "That's because you haven't fired me yet." For a moment, the room went quiet. Then something surprising happened. She smiled. It wasn't big. But it was real. That small moment changed everything. Over the next few weeks, our routine slowly settled into something comfortable. I helped her with daily tasks, cooked meals, and sometimes just sat nearby while she read or worked on her laptop. But the biggest changes happened during our conversations. At first, Emily barely spoke. Then one day, while we were watching rain fall outside the window, she said something unexpected. "I used to hike every weekend." I looked at her. "Really?" "Mountains, forests, trails. I loved it. Her eyes stayed fixed on the rain. I felt free. There was a long pause. Then she said quietly, "Now I can't even walk to the mailbox." I didn't rush to fill the silence. Sometimes kindness means simply listening. Finally, I said, "Maybe you can't hike right now, but that doesn't mean life stopped." She didn't respond, but I noticed something in her expression. Not anger. Not sadness. Something softer. Hope. The real turning point happened about 2 months later. I came into the living room one morning and found Emily staring at an old photo album. "Who's this?" I asked. She showed me a picture of herself standing on top of a mountain, arms raised, smiling widely. "That was 3 years ago," she said. "You look happy." I was. She closed the album slowly. "Everything changed after the accident." Her voice cracked. "I lost my independence. My job. My friends." I sat down nearby. "You didn't lose everything." She looked at me with tired eyes. "Didn't I?" I shook my head gently. "You still have your strength. Your mind. Your heart." She laughed softly. "That sounds like something from a motivational poster." "Maybe," I admitted. "But it's still true." Another quiet moment passed. Then she asked a question that caught me off guard. "Why are you still here?" I tilted my head. "What do you mean?" "You could work anywhere," she said. "Better pay. Easier clients." I thought about it for a second. Then I answered honestly. "Because you matter." Her eyes widened slightly. I continued. "Everyone deserves someone who won't give up on them." Emily looked down at her hands. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then I saw something I hadn't seen before. Tears. "I pushed everyone away," she whispered. "I know. I was angry." "That makes sense." She wiped her eyes quickly. "I didn't think anyone would stay." I smiled softly. "Well, I did say I'm not leaving unless you fire me." She laughed through her tears. And that laugh felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. After that day, things changed in ways I never expected. Emily began opening up more. She started working on online projects again. She even asked me one afternoon, "Do you think we could go outside today?" It was just a short trip to the park. But when we rolled her wheelchair along the path, the look on her face said everything. The wind moved through her hair. Children laughed nearby. And for the first time since I met her, Emily looked truly alive. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For not giving up." I shook my head. That's what kindness does. Months passed. Emily grew stronger emotionally, more confident, more hopeful. One evening while we were having dinner, she looked at me with a playful smile. "You know something?" "What?" "I'm glad you didn't quit. I'm glad you didn't fire me." She laughed again. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. Kindness doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's simply staying when others walk away. Because the truth is, you never know how much someone is hurting behind their walls. And sometimes, one person choosing to care can slowly rebuild a life. Emily once told me something I'll never forget. "Kindness didn't fix everything," she said. "But it reminded me I was still worth something." And that's the power of compassion. Not to erase pain, but to help someone believe in tomorrow again. So if you take one thing from this story, let it be this. A small act of kindness might seem ordinary to you. But to someone else, it could mean everything. Thank you for watching this story on your channel name. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that kindness still exists in this world. And remember, you never know whose life you might change, just by choosing to care.